Hello, and welcome to the video on cell referencing, relative, mixed, and absolute formulas. Please open the attached workbook. When you open up a workbook, it's a good idea to look over what's available. So in this one, this actually stands for last name, first name, and then the first quarter, January, February, and March. So the first thing we need to do is get a total of the January, February, and March for each of the individuals. So I clicked in F5, and I'm going to use the Greek symbol sigma for sum. And it actually knows exactly what I want to do. Equal sum, C5 through E5. Perfect. I could press enter, but that takes me down to the next cell. Instead, I'm going to click the check mark so it remains in this cell. And that's accurate. 100 plus 100 plus 100 is 300, so I know that that worked. And then I can drag the autofill handle down or just double click and it fills them in for me. I'm going to click in B2 and put in 5% for a bonus. And then I'll click in G5. So for Al Blue, based on his total sales for quarter one, he's going to earn an extra 3% or 5% bonus. So the calculation, always the formula start with equals. I'm just going to press the left arrow and that selects F5 for me. And then asterisk, and then I'll click B2 because that's where the 5% is, and I'll use my check mark and he'll earn 15 extra dollars. So then I'll go ahead and use my fill handle. I can drag or double click, and then I have some interesting things here. So if we wanted to see what the formulas are, I'm in the cell G5 and I can see it right here. It was equals F5 times B2, which is perfect. The next one should be F6. It is, but it's by B3. F6 by B4. If I want to see more formulas, I can click formulas and choose show formulas and then just scroll over. I can see my formulas here for the total sales. And then the employee, what happens is relative reference, it assumes that you start in F5, so the next one would be F6, F7, F8. That's correct, but not so much on the bonus. The bonus is only in B2 and will only stay in B2. So these should all be B2, but you don't want to have to type B2 for all of these. Or if you had hundreds and hundreds of employees, you wouldn't want to have to fix each one to be B2. So let me turn this show formulas off, go back to my original first formula, and I'm going to double click in it so I'm in the formula. And what I want to do in order to, this is called absolute reference, in order for it to tell it, only look at column B, only row 2. On your keyboard, you have function keys labeled F1, F2, F3. If you press the F4 once, it puts $sign in front of the B and a $sign in front of the 2. If you accidentally pressed it again, it has a mixed function where it just has $1 sign, just $1 sign, no dollar signs, but I'm going to go to that one. So I'll show you again. If you don't have an F4 function keys on your computer, you would just manually type in a $sign before the B and a $sign in front of the 2. And then I'll check mark or press enter. Now when I reuse the autofill, everything gets corrected. And if I put my show formula on and scroll over, you'll see that it's times B2 for all of them. So it's always going to be by that cell that has the bonus of 5%. Very accurate and consistent. Now, if for some reason you wanted to give them 25% bonus, I would just fix it here. Once I press enter, these will automatically adjust based on 25%. So I'd only have to worry about fixing one cell. So let me go back to 5%. And it goes back to the original. So this one right here, if we looked at our formulas, it was relative cell reference. It always knew it's C through E, C through E, C through E, but what changed was the row number. But it was always the column C, D, and E, C, D, and E. In the employee bonus, the relative reference was F5, then it knew F6, that's relative, it's related. This one here with the $sign, so that always refer to one individual specific cell, that's absolute cell reference. So I'll turn that off. All right, the only thing that's missing here is the date, and because this is for the first quarter that ends in March, we'll put in the date of April 1st and whatever year. And if you ever get those pound signs, it's because the date doesn't fit, so you can double click just so that it expands wide enough to show the date. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to create a multiplication table. So click the plus sign so you can get a whole new sheet. That way we're in the same workbook. And in A1, I'm going to have you type multiplication table. And you can just leave it like that. It doesn't matter if it expands into B. And then I'm going to go down to A3 and type an asterisk and then tab. And I'm going to type a 1 here. And I'm going to drag it across to column M. I get all 1s, but if I use my autofill options instead of copy, choose fill series. And it should go to 12. If you didn't go far enough, you're at 11, just drag it to 1 more. Then I'll do the same thing over here, 1. And I'm going to drag that down. And again, if I didn't go too far, I can copy. I want fill series. I didn't go, oh, I went exactly 12. So that worked out well. All right, so what I want to do, if you remember this, it was 1 times 1, 1 times 3, and so forth, and you have your answers here. So go into your very first cell where you need a calculation, and that is B4. So I'm actually in B4 right now. And all formulas start with equals. And I want to multiply this cell times this cell. And it doesn't matter which one you do first because multiplication 2 times 4 is the same as 4 times 2, so it doesn't matter. But I'm going to click this cell, which is column A, and it's A4 because it's row 4. But in front of the A, I'm going to put in a $sign, and then asterisk, and then times B3. I don't know why it jumped over there. But before I do that, I'm going to type $3 because it'll never leave row 3. And then check. 1 times 1 is 1. So it's $A. It's never leaving column A. And then times B, but it'll change CD, but never change row 3. That's why the $sign's in front of the 3 and the $sign's in front of the A. Now what I'm going to do is drag down and let go. That's correct. 1 times the number is itself. Now hold the fill handle and drag across. And if it's correct, the bottom cell should be 144. So if you take a peek at this, the formula is A15, which is that 12, times M3. So it never left row 3 or column A. So if you wanted to, you don't have to do this part, but I'm just going to put a border here so you can see the difference between the two. So I select it all the way across on row 3, and then I'll choose bottom border, and then I'll select just this column and choose right border, just so you can see the difference. So if I looked in here, 7 times 5 is 35, and the formula should be A10 times F3. We'll be doing more of these so that you can have the exposure to working with mixed references and absolute reference, so that you can create formulas that will calculate where it never leaves a particular column or never leaves a particular row. Thank you.